our guest speaker tonight is Allie. Allie has a really cool story. So she led her team in every category known to man, offensively, and then she transferred schools. So Allie has a pretty unique story, just with her journey with softball. That's right, Allie, right? And they championships and national championships and tournaments and all that good stuff. And Allie has some really awesome stuff in the world of visualization, and just how she really focused under that pressure and the pressure of, I'm in this program and now I'm going to a whole new program and I want to lead this team. I'm so excited to have Allie on the call and just have her share that story that's pretty unique. So go ahead, Allie. Go ahead. I did your quick hit, but did I miss any important information?
Not really. I'm from Colorado. I go to school at University of Nebraska, Omaha, and I'm also a utility player all over wherever they put me. So
awesome.
That's about it.
Very cool. What's your story? How do you deal with, teammates and coaches? Or tell me about visualization. How do you use visualization? And what do you think of mental skills? And how has it helped you? Or even something like, hey, I'm a utility too. And how did you figure out, what position you were good at? And those types of questions, I'm sure Allie would love to answer. If you guys take up the whole time with your questions, we don't even have to use our questions. If you guys have questions to keep us through a full half hour, that is the whole point of this call. There's no structure other than asking questions. So with that, Allie, I don't know if you wanted to take a few minutes to kind of explain more about how you use visualization. I did send them your YouTube feature from Dear Warrior, but if you wanted to take maybe a few minutes to kind of give them a starting point.
Yeah. So visualization is super important in any sport, and especially softball. So for me, what I like to do is we typically will bus to our games. And so sitting in the bus, especially before, 15 minutes before we're showing up to the field, I like to just kind of put my headphones in and then just kind of sit there and visualize how I want my bats to go, and telling myself always watching the hip of the pitcher, right where the release point is, and knowing that if I'm in the outfield, I gotta get good cuts and reads on the balls. And then if I'm in the infield, just knowing that I always gotta charge the ball. So just kind of visualizing different kind of scenarios in my head that you never know what's gonna happen when you get there. So just kind of always being ready for whatever it's gonna throw at me. So
do you guys have questions as far as, raise your hand if you guys have practiced visualization once or twice? What kind of questions come up for you guys? As far as mental skills training or college, anything come to mind? And you guys can also use the chat. If you're trying to think of, how do I ask this question? You guys can always type it in the chat too. What do you guys have? One of the questions that I have is, when you're on the bus, do you visualize specific to your opponent?
Yeah. I mean, this year is kind of hard for me, just because we didn't get into conference. And so didn't know much about any of the teams that we played, especially just coming from JUCO. But for JUCO, we always kind of knew this team has slower pitchers, so we really gotta wait on our loads and sit back and wait on the ball, or their first baseman can't catch a ball, or whatever it may be. So yeah, definitely just kind of knowing who you're playing. And I mean, we don't really do video that much just because we didn't get into conference, so we don't have video on our preseason opponents and stuff. But just kind of knowing, or if I happen to know someone from the team, and just be okay, she's got a cannon, or she can smoke the ball kind of thing.
Yeah, very cool. So Kaylani has a question. She says, do you have an example of when visualization was successful?
Yeah.
Or a specific moment?
Honestly, when I'm on deck, I always kind of just because on deck's kind of your time to watch the pitcher and kind of see what they have, and just kind of waiting, seeing where the ball's going. So if they're throwing a rise ball, kind of picking out certain things that she really leans back on a rise ball, or something that she does I can kind of pick out. So that helps me a lot. And also I caught my 2 years at JUCO, and so kind of knowing the spin of balls and stuff. So that has helped me a lot with visualization for hitting. Should I answer the next question in the chat? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable at first just because it's kind of like, am I doing it right? Like, how do I do this kind of thing? My older brother played hockey, so that helped me a lot with him kind of giving me some pointers and just also talking to my friends about it and different coaching styles. It definitely goes away once you kind of get used to doing it more and kind of getting into the swing of like making it a routine. So like you always have your routine before you get in the box or before a game, and just kind of making that routine really helps it become a lot easier and more comfortable to do.
Yeah, so that was for your question, Ash, of when it's uncomfortable visualizing. And that's it's a weird concept, right? Because when we think about visualizing, it's not like immediate and something that we do. And Allie, I think you had mentioned this in your when you were talking in your interview with us about your brother, mm-hmm. and how he kind of taught you from a pretty young age what that looked like and what that felt like.
Yeah.
And you had used a pretty cool analogy, and I'd love for you to share more with the girls of the clean the slate.
Yeah.
And that in terms of visualization, can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, so kind of my clean slate approach is just kind of knowing that softball is a game of failure and you're not gonna be perfect every time. So just kind of realizing that and accepting that, like, of course you want to do your best and you don't want to mess up, but it's gonna happen. So for me, like, my thing is just kind of, if I'm in the field and I mess up a ground ball or I overthrow the ball or whatever my error may have been, I just kind of take a step back and I look in the outfield, kind of kick the dirt if I'm in the infield, and just kind of take a deep breath and like kind of set up that visualization for the next play. Like I always tell my pitcher, like, hey, give me the next ball. Like I got you, like I'll do better kind of thing. And just kind of playing scenarios through my head of like, okay, we have a runner on first. So like hard shot to me, I'm going 2, like slow roller, I'm going 1, and just kind of different scenarios. Or if it's in the outfield, this runner is really fast. So just kind of that whole thing. And then even with hitting, just kind of if I swing and miss on a pitch, like I kind of, at the age I'm at now, I kind of feel what I did wrong. And so just like having to make that adjustment and saying like, okay, they've thrown me 3 outside pitches, so I'm probably going to get another one, like stay out, like keep your hands back and all that. So
Kaylani has a good question next. Do you ever visualize failure too?
As much as I want to admit, I don't. It does happen just because, especially when you kind of get in a slump or just having a bad practice, like you kind of are just like, oh, I'm going to mess up the next ball. And it's very hard to get out of, but like that's the mental side of the game of just kind of, okay, yeah, like if I do fail, like I got to do better next time. Like, and even if I still fail, because like our whole team's thing this year, and it always has just been like, embrace the uncomfortable, and just like they're going to put you in uncomfortable situations that you're probably going to fail, but they want you to do that because then when it comes to game, like you're not uncomfortable, like you're not uncomfortable in those pressure situations and all of that. So that has helped a lot of like kind of, even if you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like doing an uncomfortable drill that you're like, I'm probably going to fail at, but like it's going to make you better. So just kind of accepting that and just rolling with the punches.
Totally. And that concept of sounds like kind of reframing how you see failure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was going to say too, is when you visualize failure, the brain doesn't know the difference. And so we're literally creating our reality. And so that, Kaylani, when it's new and you close your eyes and you envision yourself getting a hit, but for some reason your brain sees a strikeout, keep working at that visualization until you replace it, reframe it, until you can successfully visualize it. And if for you guys, as you're going through your visualizations, that's a real temptation because our brain wants to fixate on the negative. And so if you're noticing that, it's almost better to stop visualizing and try it at a new point to get it on a positive track. Does that make sense, Kaylani? Yeah, I think that's natural. Don't beat yourself up for visualizing negative things. Just know that reset, you can reframe and try it again too.
Yes, awesome. For sure.
And you guys can ask questions out loud too. You don't have to submit them in the chat. You guys can say, hey, I got a question, and say, yo, it's Amanda, here's my question too. So I do like the chat feature. Take it away, Becca.
Ash, do you want to say your question out loud, or you want me to read it from the chat?
I can say it. So I said that like earlier you said that you use visualization and it would be team specific, and like what would you do if you had never played the team before or you didn't know anything about them?
Yeah, so for that, more I would gear it more like when I don't know the team, I gear it towards myself of like saying like I'm seeing myself hitting like line drives like all day or like hard ground balls because that's my kind of thing. I'm not a home run hitter. I'm more of line drive, like hard gap to gap kind of shots, and just kind of visualizing those smaller things that like or just running like different plays and scenarios through my head, but also like kind of during warm up times, like when you're because in college you kind of switch off. It's a little different than your guys' age right now, just because we switch off with cage time and everything. But just kind of like seeing what they have, like kind of seeing like when they're throwing, like are they overthrowing it a lot? Do they have cannons on their team? Like, and just kind of simple things like that, or like watching their pitcher warm up. Cause like for you guys usually warm up on like the side of the baseline. So just kind of watching like, do they throw slower? Like that, then that means like I need to sit back and those kind of things. So just kind of, again, like kind of rolling with the time and just watching them.
I have a follow-up question for you, Allie, too, about just the process and the transition from one program to the other.
Yeah,
and your skills of visualization. Yeah, go for it. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So I went JUCO, which is a 2-year route, and then you transfer to a 4-year university. And my JUCO was very like JUCO really doesn't have a lot of rules, so we'd practice for a long time and stuff. So kind of having that transfer of going from no rules and like to a ton of rules was like also pretty hard, but like kind of coming in and just knowing like just because I changed programs like doesn't mean that I changed as a player. Like that I still have like I'm still the same player and I can compete with them. Like, and especially because our JUCO played like University of Kentucky and Notre Dame and Mizzou and like some of those big programs that even at Omaha, like we don't play that big of programs. And like knowing that I can handle it, like hang with them and like I can hit off their pitchers and I can field their balls or whatever. Like that helped me a lot coming in to like a Division I program of like knowing that I've done it before and it's not any different. And like even the national tournament, like I mean Chipola's pitchers, Alabama's #1 pitcher right now, and we saw him at national tournament. And so just kind of knowing like we've played with those girls and there's a ton of girls on my team that went D1 and like even through inter squad scrimmage, like seeing them and all of that. So if that answers the question.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a going from one stage to another and having to vibe with a whole new group of players and coaches and keeping track of who am I as an athlete in the midst of all this, you know?
For sure.
What else do you guys got? Any other questions for Allie? I can go off of, I have so many questions. I could just keep asking them. Allie, can you tell us a little bit too about, so going into a new program and also coming from a leadership position at JUCO, and then coming into a new program and trying to own who you are as an athlete, remember who you are as an athlete, so you can, kind of continue to be that on this other team. How was that transition of going as a top player in a program and then kind of having to make a way in a whole nother program with a whole nother group of girls?
Yeah, it was a tough transition just because, I mean, some of my teammates at JUCO like were my best friends, and like having to leave them was pretty hard, and coming to a new school and having to meet new people and kind of like, what if they don't like me? What if I don't like them? Like those kind of things. So I think the biggest thing for me coming in was that I knew I had to work my butt off and that I had to prove myself. And I think that like kind of having that transfer of like, okay, everyone's just gonna be like, oh, because some of the stigma on JUCO is just like, oh, they're just players or whatever. But so like kind of coming in and like proving to them like just because I went JUCO doesn't mean that I can't hang, like, and that kind of stuff. And just I don't want to say having like a cockiness, but like having a little bit of a chip on my shoulder of like, I'm here to play ball and like I'm here to do my best. And it was kind of hard coming in as a junior to a new program and like having to relearn how they practice and how they do stuff. And like, I didn't want to overstep as like being a leader. So I kind of just kept quiet for a couple, like not quiet because I'm very leader, like a vocal person, but like kind of holding back on some things that I typically wouldn't have, just so I can get the vibe of like how my teammates and coaches are. So I guess that's how I kind of went about it.
Yeah, I know a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
Awesome. That was such a good question too. So I have a follow-up question from that. And remember Team 7, we said like, if you have these thoughts, you're like on a Zoom call, right? If we were in the same room, we'd be like, oh my gosh, me too, right? But since we're on Zoom and we're all muted, if this resonates with you guys, I want you to get vulnerable and like do the signal, right? And so on a lot of one-on-one calls, I hear this all the time. You guys are very worried about letting your teammates down. And you are worried, what will my teammates think of me if I fail, if I strike out, right? Like I'm seeing some head nods, right? If that thought crosses your mind more than just every so often, I think that's something as young women, even in college, right? Like Allie, I would love for you to talk about that and how you've kind of busted through that fear of, am I letting my teammates down? You know, even a simple moment of a strikeout, how do you overcome and reframe that of letting your teammates down or letting a coach down? How do you think and flip the script on that?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes back to my clean slate, how I kind of approach that. But I mean, everyone's going to fail. And it's just kind of like, that kind of comes with like being mature, like as you grow up playing softball and stuff. But like, if you strike out, like you just got to tell yourself like, and even like sometimes like I know me and some of my teammates will be like, hey, like I'll do better next time. Like I messed up, but I'm not gonna do it again. Like I'm gonna learn from my mistakes, and just kind of having each other's backs, and like even just saying that to each other. Like when I hear I don't know if you guys know Sydney Neismeyer. She's on my team, and just her presence on the mound is unbelievable. Like she misses a ball and she turns around and she will tell the whole team, like whoever's on the field, like, I got you guys next ball. Like, I got you, like, my bad. And just like hearing that, like, especially from a pitcher, because sometimes pitchers are just kind of, they're not as vocal like that. But like hearing her say that, like, it hypes all of us up because we're like, let's go. Like, you got our backs, we have your backs. And like, just kind of having that presence of like the communication part of like talking to your teammates about that. Like, I got your back. Like, and like as a teammate hearing that, like it means a lot more than just like simple words. Like it sounds very simple, but it means a lot, especially when you can tell that like they mean it and they're not just saying it. So
yeah, that's really cool. Also, Allie, a little history. So I coach at Waverly. So Sid shut our team down. I can't even tell you how many times. So if you talk about Waverly softball, EMC tournament, yep. She's dynamite and fun to watch play. But you make such a good point, right? Like building that trust. And you guys too, like I'm looking at Ryan and Jaden and Ash, you guys are in new situations. Some of you guys have had the pleasure, luxury, the advantage, like I look at Ryan's team and I go, holy cow, like how, like hold up your fingers. How many years have you guys been playing together? Like your core group, roughly?
Like a year and a half.
How long?
Like a year and a half. This is our second year together.
And what is the difference from last year to this year, right? Like you guys are just clicking.
Yeah, I feel like we clicked right away like last year, but I feel like this year we're very like close. We're almost like sisters.
And how does that affect, like when you guys think about that, how does that affect your fear, your, letting your teammates down? And like Allie's literally saying like, hey, I came into a brand new program and like we've built trust already to be able to say, hey, like I got you. And so maybe
like
even
sorry.
You're fine. Maybe even another follow-up question is like, what does that look like off the field? And I'm sure this relates to one of the questions that Becca and I have is like, what is the day-to-day life in college like? And what does that look like with your teammates off the field?
Yeah, I mean, for us, our teams at my JUCO, we were very close. We had apartments that were like technically off campus, but they really weren't. They were right next to the softball field. but like we always left our doors unlocked like during the day, and it was like people would come in like just hang out. Like we would play Xbox, we would just listen to music, we would just talk, like, and just kind of having that relationship of like you never know who's going to be in your apartment, honestly. Like, and it's like our fridge is always open, so if you don't have like just kind of small things like that. But like here at Omaha, like we're pretty close. It's just tough because like that was the tough transition for me, was that I went from like a 2-second walk to my teammate's apartment to like a 5-minute, 10-minute drive or like whatever. So I think just kind of like always inviting people over. Like right now my roommates are downstairs with some of the freshmen watching The Bachelor, like, and so just kind of like those small things of like, hey, let's have a movie night, or like, hey, like let's go out to dinner, or like just kind of doing small things like that really helps. And like even at practice, like we always joke around like before, and like we're always having a good time, and like that also helps us because it just kind of loosens us up instead of like always like practicing or playing tight, like, and just like kind of letting loose. It's a fun game, like, and at this level, like you can't play tight because that's when you make your errors. So just kind of it all goes back to trust and kind of being vulnerable with everyone and kind of letting your guard down of like, hey, like this is me, this is how I am, like this is how I take feedback, or vice versa kind of thing. So
Very cool. Very, very cool. And for those of you guys that will play in JUCO or play in college or even play in high school, building that trust will go much further than athletic ability. But I don't need to tell you guys that because you already understand how much the mental side can help mesh with the athletic ability too. So if you guys have questions, it's already 7:27. We have a half hour. I try to keep these short and sweet for you guys' time. So if you guys have questions, I'll give you a few seconds and we can ask Allie one more question. But while we're waiting on that, what is the best way for these girls to follow your journey or reach out if they ever wanted to ask you a follow-up question?
Yeah, I mean, I can type my Instagram in there or my number. I'm very open. Like if you guys ever have any questions, like, because I know like people who did that for me, like it meant the world to me, and just kind of having different perspectives. Like what you guys are doing right now is just awesome. Like I didn't have access to that. So like this is already like you guys are already like a couple steps ahead of the game. Like, and it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, I can type my number and my Instagram. I also have Twitter. I don't know if you guys have any of that. So
yeah, I don't know. Are you guys on Twitter? We've had that question twice now. Raise your hand if you have a Twitter. I know Ryan does. Oh, Taylor's got one. Okay. And Ash, cool. Okay, so Ash has the final question. Ash, do you want to ask it in person or you want me to read it?
I can ask it. I said, do you keep in contact with any of your like close friends from your prior team before you made your switch?
Yeah, we actually have a group chat like of people from my class and like even just from our like whole team group chats on Snapchat. But I talk to like my core group of friends, like who to this day they're 100% in my wedding. Like we talk all the time. Like we're always like, hey, like how's your day going? Or we'll like send our memories from Snapchat and just like always like kind of have each other's backs. And like it's awesome to see like because one's in Illinois and or two are in Illinois, one's in Indiana, one's in Iowa, I'm here and someone's in Colorado. So just kind of it's hard because we don't get to see each other that much. But like I always like I've not gone home for Thanksgiving once, and I'm a senior, so I always went home with my teammates, and I went with the same family the last 3 years. So like just kind of having that time to always reach out to them, it's meant a lot. And I mean, even some of my travel ball girls, like I still talk to them quite a bit too. So yeah.
Good question. So the final question is, if you could leave, and thank you for popping your Instagram in there for those of you guys that are on Instagram. If you guys are watching the replay of this and can't see the chat, it is Allie Helton 21, ALLIEHELTON 21 on Instagram. One final thought in closing. What is one piece of advice you wish you would have known if you were in their shoes right now?
Yeah, it's always a tough question. I think the biggest piece of advice is just enjoy it. Like it flies by. Like I have one season left and it like kind of didn't hit me until like a couple weeks ago of just like crap, like I have one season left, and like you never know, especially with like having our season get shut down last year, like you never know when your last time on the field is going to be, whether it's an injury or another pandemic or whatever life may throw at you. But just kind of always knowing like, hey, like just enjoy the practices, like go hard every single play, like because you never know when your last time is going to be. And like we had Taylor Edwards and Gwen from AU Sports come to our practice because Tatum's our coach, and they said that they were like, you just have to enjoy it because like you never know when it could be the last time that you'll be on the field. And just kind of hearing that from pro softball players just was like, wow, like okay, like yeah, like, and just after going through our season getting cut last year was just tough, and not knowing if we still kind of don't know if we're gonna have a season this year. But so yeah, I would just say enjoy it and make good memories. Like you're not going to remember the wins and losses, like just you're going to remember the friendships and the car rides and the bus trips more than wins and losses.
Yes. As a coach who's on the other side of that, yes, I would go back in a heartbeat. Very cool. That is an awesome way to end this chat. So Allie, the final thing that we do is kind of corny and cheesy, but we all know it. We do a screenshot. So is there a like hang loose, fist bump, whoop, whoop, like anything that you do that we could do for a screenshot that would be fun?
Yeah, we'll just do hang loose.
Okay. Show me your hang loose. We're going to do our screenshot. Kayla, I don't know if we can see you or not, but we're getting a screenshot ready. All right, here it comes. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I wish I could, you know what we should do? I should actually, let's try this. I've always wanted to do this. I'm going to do a boomerang screenshot from my phone on my computer. So let's see if I can do this. Do your hang loose one more time. And I'm going to get it on boomerang. All right, ready, set, go. Sweet. Oh my gosh. You guys are awesome. Allie, thank you so much. You were an awesome guest speaker. Thanks for sharing your story.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, very cool. You guys can unmute yourselves and say thank you, good night. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck this year, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye, guys. Have a good night. The replay will be up soon.